Hi everybody, it's me again. This is part two, discussing my cheek brushes. So I decided to have it a little better laid out so you can kind of see all the brushes. Just a quick overview of these. This is the Chikuhodo Z2, Z4. This is the Shoe 14, the 14H, 17, 20H, and the 18 brush. So let's just get started from top to bottom. Just makes it a little easier. So here we have the Z2 over here. This is the highlighter brush. I reviewed this one already. This is probably my favorite brush for highlighting. Let me see if I can just kind of have this be the focus of the screen. There we go. I like it because it's a very unique shape. It's shaped like a candlestick in a way. I kind of use this for just highlighting, powder highlighter, contouring, since it kind of gives me pretty precise contouring without being too stark, because it's very soft hair, so you can kind of have like a very soft, not streaky contour. A little bit of a downside to this one for some people perhaps is it might be a little too soft, but it's funny because I use this with my Kevin Aucoin candlelight highlighter, and it just glides on really easily. And this is probably my favorite Chikuhodo brush just because of its use and ease to just overall easiness. But for contouring, I think it's just for a nice soft contour, nothing too crazy. So that's that. I reviewed this, so if you have any questions about that one, please feel free to just ask. But I have more details on the blog just because it's more written out, and I have more brushes to discuss, I guess. So then we have the Z4, as you can kind of see the size difference over here. This is more designed for blush, if you ask me. I know it's designed or marketed as cheek and highlight. I guess you could use it as highlighter. I find it a little too fluffy for highlight, just because I prefer like a very precise highlight, I guess. Although I do think this is kind of cool for highlighting too, in the sense that it just helps diffuse it or buff it in a bit better, because this is more pointy, this is more rounded. It's up to you how you like to apply your highlighter and overall functionality or use, or everybody's different in terms of application. So again, you may like this one more over the Z2. So just overall, they're both very soft hairs, which is quite nice. And like I said, the handles are quite hefty, and I can have good leverage with these. So both are quite nice. If I were to pick one between these two, I would definitely pick the Z2 over the Z4, although I do like the Z4 as well. Just saying. Oh, and a benefit of the Z4 as well, since it's very soft, it's very nice to apply very pigmented blushes, like say NARS Exhibit A, or something that's very bright and you're afraid of going a little too overboard. Due to the softness of this brush, it is very nice to just diffuse the color of it. Something to keep in mind too, what was I going to say? Soft brushes in general are nice for super pigmented colors, especially if you're afraid of over applying. I do like a little more stiffness to it, since I have a bit more better application for me. I do like a more strong color than something very soft. Although, again, everybody's a little different in terms of application and method, so something to be aware of. So those are these two over here. And then we have the Uemura 14. Pony hair, it's definitely a bit more stiff, not as soft as Gray Squirrel, but still a great hair. For some of you that watch YouTube, Jung Sang-mool, I think that's her name. She's a makeup artist, Asian. I think she's Korean. Very brilliant if you watch her videos. She tends to use shoe brushes, I think, for her videos, at least this shape, at least. I do like this one for very soft blushes when you want to pack on the color because of its stiffness. I got this one in England, so those of you who are wondering, I don't think this is in the US though. I do like it because it is very small and for targeted placement. So just be aware of that. And then we have the 14H. Definitely slanted, so if you definitely want to prefer contouring with this one over the Z2, feel free. I do like the ease of the shoe brushes for contouring, because it's not as targeted or not as stark of a contour, but yet provides a little bit of stiffness so you can pack on the color a little bit. Again, downside to the 14H is that I only got this one in England. I don't think this is in the US either. And for the longest time, I'll get to the 20H in a minute. I did use a 20H for the longest time for contouring and bronzer replacement, and because it was very easy for me to use. So the 14H in comparison to the 20H, which I'll just kind of show you, might as well since I'm discussing it, it is definitely smaller. So for those who have smaller faces, may want the 14H over the 20H. Although I do like the 20H, and this is probably one of my oldest brushes in my stash. And as you can see, it keeps its shape very, very well. I'm in love with this one. Sadly, this one was sold in the United States, but it is gone. I don't know if they'll ever bring this one back, but this is definitely an oldie but goodie. Definitely a favorite of mine. For blush, bronzer, contour, whatever. So that's that. Let me just put this one aside. And then we have the 17. This one's definitely bigger than the 14. I reviewed these two together since they're both the same shape. This one's definitely a bit bigger, so it may not be as easy to use for some people. So the 14 might be a bit nicer for those since it gives you more targeted placement. But I do love the 17. I acquired this one before the 14, and this was my blush brush for quite some time, way before I used the Chikuhodo brushes, and it's been good to me, and I love this one, and I do reach this one probably the most, just because I've used this one the longest, for those who are wondering. And then we have the 18 Goat. This one, I've used this one for quite some time for my Uemura cream foundation, and I love it for cream products. Some people don't like this one because they find it too scratchy. I don't know if it's just because I've had it for such a long time that it's just become softer over the years, because I do find this one pretty soft. Not as soft as the CQ ones or the Chikuhodo ones, but I don't think it's a scratchy brush in my opinion. Maybe you find this a bit too scratchy. Maybe the newer ones are designed that way. I don't know. I do know that Tom Ford does make a dupe of this one, or similar shape, white hairs, and it is soft. And I will say this about Tom Ford brushes. I know a lot of people like them because they are a luxury line, and I guess they're just very soft. From what I've seen with Tom Ford brushes, they don't tend to hold their shape very well, and they tend to splay over time, which is a big thing for me. I don't like brushes that tend to change shape, because you buy it in the package knowing that's going to be the shape, and having a brush that changes shape over time is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I don't like that whatsoever, just because it defeats the purpose. If you buy it for the shape and then it changes, it's like, well, how are you going to know how it's going to change 3 years from now? Does that make sense? And plus, I like to have my brushes that tend to last for a long period of time and that maintain the shape very well. The 18 I've had for a few years, and this is something that has held its shape very well. But again, some people may not like this one because it's not one that, is the softest brush out on the market, I guess. I don't use Uemura anymore, so I don't really use this one as much. I'm curious to see how this will work for cream blushes. I haven't really used it that much for cream blush, but I do keep this one in my stash in case I have a specific use for it, because this is one of my least used brushes, only because I don't really use Uemura foundation anymore. I do love Uemura because it's a cream and it has like a nice matte finish, but it's not a flat matte. But sadly, she was not in the US, so it's a bit of a pain to buy a foundation that's only sold online. But I do like this brush though. But like I said, for some people that like Tom Ford, you may like his version better just because it's a softer brush. But I can't attest to their longevity though. So, I don't know. I'm a bit mixed thoughts on the Tom Ford one. So that's my thoughts on the Goat one. And like I said already, I do have the 20H, and I've discussed this already, so I am a big fan of it. Just keeping it here for size comparison for those who are wondering. And that's an overview of that. And I think that's basically it for my cheek brushes. So if you guys have any questions on these, please feel free to ask in the comments field. Alright, guys? And I'll start filming part 3. Hopefully later today, if not tomorrow, since, I don't know, I have some errands to do today. But anyway, let me just put the 18 up here. Or down here. Alright, guys. Have a good evening or afternoon and enjoy the rest of your day. Alright, bye.